do, he ended up doing. He wasn't going to start any wars. Well, he started more wars. He wasn't going to endorse,
Which wars
white
got
supremacy.
started by Donald Trump?
What do you think of Venezuela was?
That wasn't a war.
By your definition, Korea wasn't
That
a
is
war.
not what?
By your
Who said
definition,
anything about
Korea
Korea?
was a war.
Korea was a war.
by whose
talking
by whose
about?
definition? Not not by Congress's, right?
I have no idea.
Technically,
as
Korea
far as
was
I
a
know,
police
Korea
action.
was a war.
Yeah, you know it now after decades later of you actually knowing it because people told you, "Hey, listen, this is a war."
It's
Technically,
called the Korean War.
It's called when in later in history, this will be called the Venezuelan War.
No,
yes, it
we
will.
were in and out. A war is not one day.
War is not determined. A war is not determined.
A military operation to capture somebody.
A war is not determined just because of its short length. We were in and out. The first time we were in Iraq, we were in and out of Iraq very quickly. We were in there for literally 10 days. We got in and out of Iraq. It was still called the Gulf War. The length of time does not determine what a war is. There's a reason why technically the Korean War is still called the police action. If you actually knew anything about history, because you don't know history, Jen, I'm telling you, I'm informing you since you're uneducated. The Korean War is literally. The Korean War is literally a police action.
Hold on, one mic.
Family members, including my grandfather, that were in World War II.
Of course,
everyone when the goddamn treaty was signed. So don't tell me I don't know.
You know everybody. You know everyone in the Secret Service. You know everyone in the FBI. You know everyone that's in everywhere. So please tell me who else you know.
I never said I know everyone.
So there's a conversation to be had.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Welcome. It's your boy Chalo. It's my co-host Rashawn. We're back with another episode of the podcast you didn't know you needed. Conversation to be had podcast. Today we're gonna talk about Maduro, Venezuela, maybe get into a few other things. I'm gonna bring the guests in. We'll get right into it. What's up, guys?
What's up, y'all?
What's up?
Hello.
All right. As everybody should already know, we went over to Venezuela. We captured Maduro. We're bringing him up on drug charges, I guess. And what I want to know first off from the panel is, do you agree with Trump's capture of Maduro? We'll start off with that. We'll let you go first, Jen.
Yes, I agree with it. I'm glad. And he had been indicted. It wasn't just bringing him up on charges. He already had charges against him and had been indicted. So he's had an arrest warrant for 5 years. And he was poking the bear and prodding and telling him to come and get him. Well, we came and got him. I guess he fucked around and he found out.
Okay.
Back.
V?
No, I think it was imperialistic and made literally no sense whatsoever. It's going to hurt us in the long run. Venezuela's a sovereign nation, and there's no defense of Maduro. He's an idiot. He's a dictator. He's just like Putin. There's no way to defend what he's done to his own people. He's bad economically. He's just bad for his people. That being said, going in there and bombing them and killing 80 Venezuelans to go and arrest him for things that Trump actually pardoned someone else. Right, he pardoned the ex-Honduran president for smuggling 400 tons of cocaine in the United States, but then charges Maduro for narco-terrorism, which is essentially the same thing. And then he says that he has the right and the will of the American people, when most American people, the poll said 70% of American people didn't want this to happen. Congress didn't want this to happen. Trump unilaterally invaded Venezuela, kidnapped the leader of a sovereign nation, and essentially kidnapped him and put him in a prison here. That is not what democracies do.
Okay. All right, Mark. Shoot your shot.
So we didn't invade Venezuela. It was a special operations mission. Like, we went in, killed his security guards. I get that part. But, and I think there was a couple of civilian casualties as a result of an explosion. But at the end of the day, Trump didn't charge him, right? Like, this is a long outstanding warrant. Biden had upped the bounty on his head. And then, of course, Trump being Trump, he doubled that bounty, right? I think it was 25 million and
So,
something
so
Trump.
you, so I'm
It was a
just,
50 million bounty.
I'm just, so I'm assuming that you agree with the capture. That was the
Absolutely,
question.
like,
Okay, all right, Jim.
No, and I'm certainly not a Maduro defender. I'm not going to defend Maduro here. You went and black bagged a country's president and are creating a regime change, and now we run Venezuela and we're doing it for oil, and this is the shit we were supposed to be done with. And it was something Trump ran on that was actually a defensible position, was saying, like, I don't do that, I'm not going to do that. And now we're doing it. And so it breaks a lot of international norms. And again, we're now in charge of Venezuela, which, awesome. Why? It's all for oil, and it's like, meet the new GOP, same as the old GOP. So, no, it sucks.
All right, Sean.
Yeah, no, I'm certainly not a fan of this move. I'm a big, strong supporter in allowing sovereign nation determine who they want their leaders to be. And like V and Jim pointed out, this is violation of international law and that sovereignty. It also risks further escalation and brings about regional instability. Change doesn't necessarily guarantee democracy. We've seen this all the time. I mean, just look at Iran. But the main thing that's kind of scary about this, it sets a really bad precedent that can be used against us in the U.S. See, now we did it. We're stopping another country from doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
You're cutting in and out, Sean.
Am I?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Hold on.
What I find interesting is I know it was on a podcast a while back, but we were talking about, because Jen, you just said he had a warrant, he had a warrant for his arrest or whatever, and I said that Putin had a warrant for his arrest way back when he had that meeting in Alaska with Trump. And I said, well, if, he's this war criminal and there's a warrant for his arrest, why wouldn't we just, arrest him? And we didn't. And he was on our ground, like he was already in the United States. It ain't like you had to go to Russia and get him. He was in the United States. Why didn't we just arrest him? But now...
Who has a warrant for Putin? I wasn't even aware of that.
He got the whole council for the war crimes.
Yeah, the ICC, the International Criminal Court.
Oh, okay. Just like they have one for
Benjamin Netanyahu. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was my whole point. So, like, I'm just in. I don't know.
Maybe it's because
what makes it our job to get Maduro and not our job to get Netanyahu or Putin too.
Well,
why is just Maduro our job?
Probably because Maduro had a warrant in the U.S. and the other two have warrants from the ICC, and I think it's up to the International Criminal Court to send out people to get whoever they're looking for. That might be why. I'm not making excuses. I don't know. I don't agree.
Because we know this isn't about a warrant or anything. This is about oil.
Right.
Does everybody agree with that? It's
about
oil.
It's all about oil.
Yeah, I think it's about oil, but I also think there's a bigger picture.
I think there's a much bigger picture, and I think it has to do with getting rid of terrorists and clamping down on China and Russia having means to the Western Hemisphere.
I think it has more to do with these countries coming off the dollar, de-dollarization. I think that, Venezuela, they were being sanctioned very heavily, and so and their oils was being restricted. So
they were still selling it to Russia like they weren't supposed
to
be
to China. But I mean,
China.
They're a sovereign nation. Why should we be telling them where they can sell their oil to? But we can only do that because of the petrodollar. We weaponize the dollar against these countries, and because we weaponize this dollar against these countries, and then we can cut them off from access to these central banks and everything like that. They're now moving off of that. That's why we have BRICS happening. And I think that this whole Venezuelan thing, yes, it is oil, but it's also the bigger picture is that Trump, he's often said it about the BRICS nations. He's afraid of these countries coming off that petrodollar because that would devastate us. And that's and basically, and real quick, last thing I'm gonna say, basically everything that he's doing is just speeding that up. He's speeding up the inevitable in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rashawn. But the other thing that I would add is that you're right about the petrodollar, but what he also wants is he wants what we've seen before in the past, where leaders have simply just wanted to take over large parts of the world. Whether that's ego, whether that's for oil, whether that's for money, or a combination of all, which is likely what it is that this isn't just about the oil. It is about Trump. And we know how much ego he has, right? He accepted the Nobel Prize of someone else, something he didn't earn. She
gave it to him.
It doesn't matter. You don't accept it.
She gave it to him.
I don't care. The only other person in history that has accepted a Nobel Peace Prize that they didn't earn is Joseph Goebbels, the right-hand propagandist for Adolf Hitler.
Oh, God, here we go with the Nazi shit.
Well, we're going to have to continue to talk about this because we are living in a country full of white supremacy, and Donald Trump is the leader of white supremacy. And I know as a white person, you probably don't care, but the reality is that...
I think that's funny.
Of course you think it's funny.
Because everybody's a Nazi. I've been called a Nazi just because I'm fucking white and I voted for Donald Trump. And I'm fucking sick of it.
For Donald Trump. Nazis march in the street and protest for Donald. It happened today.
Does that mean that that's the majority? No, there's very little small population that does that. Does that mean
the majority of people in Germany weren't Nazis either, right? The majority of people in Germany, whether or not they were happened in 1930, they weren't Nazis. So when you say it's not the majority of people that support Trump that are Nazi, it doesn't matter if it's a majority. The fact of the matter is that there are thousands of people that are. And that is a problem.
And there are millions of people in the country.
And there are millions of people.
Everybody, we have free speech.
And there are millions of people in Germany who did not support the Nazis. That doesn't mean that we don't look at Nazi Germany and call it Nazi Germany. We don't say, oh, you know that little part? That was a little part of Germany. We don't call it Nazi Germany.
He got elected, and that's why it was called Nazi Germany.
And we have a Nazi now in the office that has got elected. But let me get back to my point. Let me get back to my point because you laughed and derailed. So I'll get back to my point. The point here is that this is what we've seen in the past. And of course, since 2016, people have been laughing, saying Trump is not a dictator. Trump is just a Republican. He doesn't going to start any wars. I mean, everything that people said that Trump wasn't going to do, he ended up doing. He wasn't going to start any wars. Well, he started more wars. He wasn't going to endorse
wars
white
got
supremacy.
Started by Donald Trump.
What do you think of Venezuela was?
That wasn't a war.
By your definition, Korea wasn't a war.
Not what?
By your definition,
about Korea
was a war.
Korea was a war.
By whose definition? Not by Congress's, right? Technically, Korea was a police action.
Was a war.
Yeah, you know it now after decades later of you actually knowing it because people told you, "Hey, listen, this is a war."
It's technically called the Korean War.
It's called later in history, this will be called the Venezuelan War.
No,
yes, it will.
In and out. A war is not one day.
War is not determined. A war is not determined.
A military operation to capture somebody.
A war is not determined just because of its short length. We were in and out. The first time we were in Iraq, we were in and out of Iraq very quickly. We were in there for literally 10 days. We got in and out of Iraq. It was still called the Gulf War. The length of time does not determine what a war is. There's a reason why technically the Korean War is still called the police action. If you actually knew anything about history, because you don't know history, Jen. I'm telling you, I'm informing you since you're uneducated. The Korean War is literally the Korean War is literally a police action.
Hold on, one mic.
Family members, including my grandfather, that were in World War II.
Of course, everyone.
When the goddamn treaty was signed. So don't tell me I don't know.
You know everybody. You know everyone in the Secret Service. You know everyone in the FBI. You know everyone that's in everywhere. So please tell me who else you know.
I never said I know everyone.
So,
listen, I got a question. All right.
And everything I say can be fact checked because
I'm sure. I'll wait for that fact check.
I have a question, guys. Okay.
No, you fact check your own stuff. You want to argue?
Let's get back and get serious for a second.
Check your own.
So it's obvious. Okay, we like what I consider what we did to Venezuela to be an act of war. Usually a president gets, some kind of approval before he does something like that. We know Donald Trump's not.
They don't have to. They have 72 hours to inform
Congress. I know. So we know Trump's not going to do that. And if he told
Congress beforehand, it would have been out and he would have escaped and we would have never got him because all the Democrats would have fucking shouted from the rooftops, leave Venezuela because they're going to come get you.
But didn't he tell the oil execs before?
Yes, he did.
I'm just asking. I heard he told the oil execs.
I never heard that.
Yes, he literally admitted it on TV live.
I think what we're doing is closer to what the Nixon and Reagan regimes did in the 70s and 80s, where we are going into South American countries that have socialist leaders and destabilizing those regimes for resources.
Exactly.
And a big part of that is that those socialist regimes don't give us those resources and we want them, and they don't sell us those resources and we want them. And so we just say, get the commies, and we take them. And this is the same, whether it's an active war or not, you are welcome to debate that. I don't know that Venezuela, no matter who the leader is, has.
I mean, you could debate that all you want. If you take the leader of another country, it ain't like he took over a country with a army or something. And now he's
right.
He got voted to be the leader of Venezuela by the people.
No, he didn't. He
but
was illegitimate president.
No, he didn't.
No, he got voted. He got voted in the office.
He did not. He did
Yes,
not
he did.
get voted into office.
There was an election.
They were fake votes. It was a fake election.
Whether or not you can argue whether or not there was where the ballots were
with
fixed.
the Venezuelan people.
But there's an election. There was an election.
That they did not elect him.
It was
literally
likely
the
a
vote count
sham.
was way beyond their population.
He assembled. They had an election and he was elected. It ain't like I said the people were behind him or anything like that. They had an election and he was legally, from the rules of his country where he's at, he was elected president.
No,
and we just come over there.
He took it.
We just come over there, snatch him up and bring him over here and going to prosecute him for drug. That's an act of war if you go into any country and just take their leader.
Correct. I don't think the Venezuelan
any
people
country.
It
doesn't matter if you're a tribe in Africa. If I come in and take the leader, that's an act of war. I mean, you could dress it up all you want to. I mean, I don't care.
I would agree that it was an act of aggression.
And my point is this. Okay, now Venezuela is in no way a threat to us by themselves. But then you add what we basically did it for, supposedly, was to stop Russia or China from getting it. Okay, so that. They're our enemies. So we got Venezuela, we got Russia, we got China. Then you're talking about you're going to go take over Greenland. Now you want to bring the armies of Europe against us. We're going to fight everybody and you guys are on board with that. You think we can just fight the world? You guys
No.
are on board with that.
No, I think that they should leave Greenland. I think he'll back off of Greenland.
Well, he's not going to do
But-
it because you think that, Jen. He's on. I mean, that's what
I'm
saying.
just saying that's my opinion.
That's what people said
Paolo.
about
but
Venezuela.
that's not what he's going to do. That's not what he's
Oh,
going
well,
to do. I mean,
if he-
it's great.
If he
He
doesn't
should be
back
a
off of
nicer
Greenland,
person.
it's kind of
He should be a
stupid,
nicer
but we have
person.
been
That's my
trying to get
opinion.
Greenland since the
What good is
1800s.
that?
Who
though,
has
is what
the
I'm
biggest
saying.
military force in Greenland? Who
We
has
do.
the biggest military force in
They
Greenland?
have the EU behind them, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
No.
I mean, no, I know what you're.
Boots on the ground. Who has the biggest military force in Greenland?
We do.
Denmark, presumably.
No, it's us. It's us.
It's us.
That's his
Oh,
point.
okay.
His point is it doesn't matter about sovereignty. Is that if the military can invade you and take over, they should, right? So
Yeah, I'm
that,
not
and that, to me,
impressed
that
by
is
Biden's
ridiculous.
Is it an invasion if they're already there? Is it an invasion?
Yes,
if
yes.
they're already
We are in Japan. Should we now take over Japan? I mean, we were in Germany. Should we now take over Germany? We have 800 bases around the world. Does that mean we now invade every other country just because we have military personnel there? That is insane.
I think that
But
this
that's
is
not
all.
what I said.
No,
Right?
he just
What I
asked you
said was-
if it's is it an invasion since we're already there?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you got to think.
But we're the biggest military force.
Right, but we have bases
We're
everywhere.
the only ones protecting the country.
Well, but I think
So
I think they consider it an invasion because now we're being aggressive about taking it over, whereas before, when nothing was really being said about that and just like offering to buy it, that's a different story. But when you do start acting the way Trump is acting and saying, you know, well, Europe better get out of there or else. Well, that's kind of stupid. I mean, we've been trying to buy Greenland since the 1800s. And Denmark has consistently said, no, we don't want you here, whatever. I understand the strategic aspect of Greenland and being in the Arctic and you know, protecting the West from China and Russia, because China and Russia, again, are trying to get into Greenland as well. So I understand that, but I just think it should be left alone. That's my opinion.
Let me ask y'all a question. You know, we always view China and Russia as the enemy and all that, right? And I get it.
Right.
You know, that's what we were growing up on. We all watched movies about commies and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Red Dawn.
yeah,
really.
But my question is, do you all ever wonder why we consider them the enemy? Like, exactly what is it that they're doing that makes them our enemy, besides doing exactly what we're trying to do, and that is to survive?
Socialism.
So exactly. So real quick though,
No, it's communism, and
either
it's
way,
not
though,
socialism. It's communism,
But
and it's the human rights violations. And I mean, I remember when people used to have to escape Russia, they weren't even allowed to leave the country.
Right, but
when it
human
was
rights
Soviet
violations
Union.
aren't unique to communism.
I was
No,
gonna say that.
No, they're not.
Authoritarianism,
They're not.
a lot of the things that get associated with communism in our modern media, and this isn't a defense of communism, but when people talk about communism creates this, and that, and they refer to communist Russia, they're just talking about things that shitty countries do. Like, we've done a bunch of the things that they accuse communism of. Germany, Russia had the Holodomor, which is basically a genocide, and people that want to speak down on communism, which again, not a defense of it, but people that are like historians will emphasize to you that Russia did that while denying the actual Holocaust. It's insane, the hoops that people go through to say that communism does these things when they're just things that happen as results of bad leaders.
And that's the thing that I was going to say. What the U.S. does is it conflates authoritarianism with communism. They're two totally different things. So, yes, you know, under communism, you know, a lot of deaths happen. But see, people don't realize that under capitalism, what we have as a government, a lot of deaths have happened. You got to consider, what was the slave trade? What was the Trail of Tears? What was the genocide of the Native Americans here? That was all under capitalism. And even now, you know what I mean? People can't go and get like medication that they need, stuff like that under capitalism. So we like to look at communism and say, hey, look at all these deaths here. But forget about the fact that under capitalism, mass genocides happened in the recent years. So, I mean, it happens under both. So now here's my question was about why they're our enemy is, and you're correct, B, it's socialism and communism is because communism is the enemy of capitalism.
Correct.
So,
Right.
you know, it's not just that it's China and Russia, it's the ideology that they're scared of. We've had this issue since before the 50s and everything. Russia used to be our friend. Remember, we fought alongside them with World War II.
We were planning to kill him then too, though.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
helped us in Afghanistan too. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say nemesis is more of a proper word than
But
enemy,
But my thing is
because we do work with them as well.
But what makes our nation better than theirs, and what makes it okay for us to try to get global dominance? And what do you expect another country to do when they see one country trying to get all this global dominance? Do you expect them just to lay down, or do you expect them to stand up and fight?
No, they're going to do the same thing that we're doing because China's trying to get global dominance. So
But
of course we're going to go back and forth over China.
But you
I
don't
mean,
think
Russia
that-
will never get it.
But you don't think there's a better avenue? You don't think that we're the agitators here? You think it's just China? We're the agitators. I mean,
No, we're all the agitators. That's what I'm saying. Is we're all agitating each other with our differences. I think that's what it is. Because that's why I say nemesis is a better
We're
word
using
than
third
enemy.
parties, though.
Say that again.
But we're using third parties.
What do you mean?
Like, we don't go against Russia. We don't go against China.
Oh,
We
proxy
use
wars
Venezuela.
Directly, proxy.
Something like Ukraine and
right.
We're not even really proxy
Chad.
warring Russia, but well, kind of. But we're pretty damn chummy with Russia at the moment.
Too much.
I don't think so.
Chummier than we should be, given the
Not
way
with the
that they-
sanctions that we put on them now.
They are significant. Putin is significantly worse than Maduro ever could have been, but that's a different conversation.
Well,
and we
but I think
invite that
it's-
guy over all the time. So
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's the nuclear capabilities too that make the difference, because when you have Russia, who has the nuclear capabilities that they do compared to Venezuela that does not, we have to give that more respect.
And
Right.
We're
well,
not
you
worried
actually bring up a
about
good point,
Venezuela.
actually, Jen, because what this shows us, what Trump has shown everyone was, and especially after the Ukraine invasion, is never give up your nukes. Nuclear proliferation is going to go through every single country in order to protect themselves needs nukes. Why? Because the only country on earth that actually uses nukes is coming after you. Right? The United States is the only country on earth that ever used nukes, and we're the ones saying, hey, no one else needs to use nukes. No one. We get to determine who gets to use nukes, and now every country on earth is going to desperately find a way to get nukes so they can protect themselves from the United States. And what's going to happen? What's the real threat here? The threat is that when you have countries like Pakistan, who in the past did not have good leadership, right? And many argue still does not, and were somehow even being infiltrated by terrorists, could use those nuclear weapons on other people, on other states. And that's the problem, because most people agree that state-sanctioned nuclear war likely will not happen. But what can happen is if a country has a weapon and, they lose control of the country, that weapon is up for grabs by any other leader, any other warlord in that country, and he can fire. And all of this imperialism that Trump is doing, all he's doing is making this world more and more, or I should say less and less safe, because we should be able to sleep at night knowing that we don't have to worry about a nuclear war. We thought that North Korea was our biggest issue, because what does he do? He keeps his nukes so U.S. leaves him alone, right? What did we promise Ukraine? Hey, Ukraine, if you get rid of these nukes, we got your back. If Russia ever attacks you, we will be here. And we said, we didn't do it, So in all reality, every country just needs to develop nukes, which makes us all less safe and makes this world, basically a living nightmare.
Yeah. and I guess that's my broader point about everything that's going on with Venezuela and Greenland and everything like that. Yeah, there's resources at play, and yeah, there's oil and stuff at play, but really, all this is really about world dominance and unipolarity. You know what I mean? After World War II, we were the single great superpower. It's slipping. If nobody, if you guys don't, would you all agree that our power over the
Absolutely.
globe is slipping?
Our soft power has
It
diminished
has been for a long
incredibly.
time.
That's
Yeah,
the
no,
point
I
I'm
agree.
making.
I agree. I
That's
know. I
the
agree with
point
you,
I'm
Jay.
making when
Yeah.
I said, do you
It
really
has
want
been
to
for a
go to
long
war
time.
with Greenland and take over Greenland and try to do Denmark and have Europe and everybody in the world trying to come at you? Because they're going to come at you. If 2 or 3 of them come, they're all coming. All your enemies are coming at one time. They're not stupid. They're
Yeah,
gonna
and so
they're gonna
No,
kick you while you're down. We're gonna get
right.
kicked while we're down.
I
nobody's
think
going to attack us singularly.
no,
They would
No.
have to come at
and-
us
I think I
in
think what
much
sorry.
force.
I think what you're seeing here is like a Hail Mary pass, right? Like I think that we've slipped so far and we're stretching ourselves so thin that Trump is making one big play to try and grab global dominance over again, and it's not working. It's not going to work because these other countries are too powerful now.
I don't know.
China's too powerful, and
I
Russia.
think what he did in Venezuela
No, I'm telling you,
empowered the people of Iran, because that uprising came really fast.
no. Iran has been
And I think Iran is about to change.
Iran's been a tea kettle.
Yeah.
Iran's
for quite a
issues
while.
is
It
financial.
has
and
been, but
Yeah.
they've been very small, limited protests. Now,
No, back in
you're-
2009, they had huge protests, and to the point where we actually thought that they would rise up and take over
not
the
like you're
Ayatollah.
seeing now. Not like you're seeing now.
Now it's gotten to the point where the leaders of Iran have killed thousands of protesters, which are only enraging them even further. Back in
That's right.
2009, they actually backed off, right? The leaders of Iran said, okay, we give in. This time they're not giving in. This time they're using force, literally killing them. That's
why
the
did
difference
they
we're seeing
say
here.
we're
But it
gonna
has
stop
nothing to do with
killing people?
Venezuela.
Why did they say they're
No.
going to stop killing people? Why did Iran say they're going to
Iran
stop
did not
killing
say they were going to stop killing people. Iran literally said on Friday that he wants to murder every single protester in detention. He literally
He's
said he wants
not
to
gonna be
execute
able
them.
to. Well, in
I'm
detention,
not saying
yeah.
whether obviously I'm not
But
saying
not-
I want that, but to argue Mark's point, they did not say they're going to stop killing protesters. In fact, they said they want to execute every single protester they have in detention. They made a big public speech during Friday prayers.
Yeah.
And can I just want to make one point here. And do you know what's the major reason why Iran is the way it is?
Money.
Capitalism.
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
of the U.S.
No, it's capitalism.
The United States. United States.
Capitalism. No, capitalism. That's why. You know what I mean?
Just like
Again,
Ukraine,
capitalism.
I wouldn't say
You're
capitalism. I would say
It's funny. It's
Rashawn's
funny that
stuck on
people.
ending capitalism.
It's a cancer. You can't continually extract.
you're
United
talking to a
States is
capitalist.
for
It's not a cancer.
It's unsustainable. It's an unsustainable
is.
model. It's
No.
totally unsustainable.
No,
And what you see,
socialism
Neither
is an
is socialism.
unsustainable model.
how?
Socialism. How many years did Russia survive under socialism?
But Russia was an authoritarian state,
Mark, you
man.
and the questions, man. If you got facts, stick to facts, bro. Don't you keep with the questions.
The United States has been a capitalist country for 250 years.
Thank you.
And it's starting to crumble.
And
No, it's not.
Russia could only be a socialist country for 100 years.
Our current system of just uncapped wealth and unlimited growth and just absolutely burning through resources is destroying us rapidly. If you knew what it took to sustain AI, we are breaking the fucking planet with AI. But
Yeah, it's
the
terrible. I
people
agree.
with the people that want you to believe that AI is the future they don't give a shit about the future. They want to make their buck right now because they're not going to be alive in 25 years.
I agree with that.
So they are more than happy. And this is why capitalism in its current iteration, I think the answer lies somewhere in the middle, but this isn't an economics podcast today. But when he says that capitalism is unsustainable, the current path that we are on is absolutely unsustainable because you have global leaders treating the world like a risk board for resources when just about every country on the planet could end us all in 12 minutes because Guy X is pissed off that Trump took Venezuela. This is what we're doing right now, and this is why it's bad.
But I agree. And let me also say something about AI. One second, Mark. Let me talk about AI for a moment because, when I said the United States is crumbling, and when you said no, it's not. Let's look at the numbers because a lot of people are saying that the United States is not crumbling because you look at GDP and you have GDP growth. You look at the economy, but if you look at what is growing the economy, almost a third, anywhere you look at what experts are saying, anywhere between a quarter and a third of GDP growth was all on AI investments. That's data centers, that's chips, that's all this stuff, which so far many of people also believe that there will be a bubble burst because they are not collecting the revenue equivalent to the investments that they're making, right? They're taking 8, 10, 12, 15 billion dollars worth of investments, but only producing 200, 300 million dollars worth of revenue. That is
economy 101.
That's unsustainable.
Cycles.
That's unsustainable. So the point here is that the AI bubble will burst. So when I say that the United States is crumbling, the first parts, like when you look at Iran, it's the economy. The economy right now on paper looks great because the stock market looks great and the GDP numbers look great. But once the AI bubble bursts and you now start to see unemployment, which is already going up, go past 15, 20, 25, 30%. Now what's going to happen? We're looking at something that could be worse than the 2008 Great Recession. We're looking at something that could be equivalent to the Great Depression. And now when there's that type of financial distress, now you have civil unrest, and you can clearly see which way we're going. We can put our blinders on. We can say it's not going to happen. It's inevitable because there's no way for the investments that have been made to actually pan out and produce. And that is the problem. So it starts with the financial stuff. And then when people don't have any jobs and can't eat, guess what's happened? Guess what happens? Guillotines. That's the next step here. That's the only question is how long is it going to take? Is it going to take 3 years? Is it going to take 20 years? That's what I don't know. But this is unsustainable right now. This is not United States winning. This is the crumbling of an empire.
I totally disagree. Because when you look at what capitalism is, right, in 29, the great stock market crash, right? Everything went away, essentially.
How did we fix that?
We continued with capitalism.
By socialism.
Remember FDR? New Deal?
Well, yes. Right? We built the highway system. We built, right?
We invested more in America than we ever did in our history. That's how socialism.
Wait. Stop. Listen. We continued with capitalism because FDR's New Deal, what was it? People say it's socialism, but we invested $1 billion, built all these highways. That is the government giving money to private contractors to build a highway, which is capitalism.
It was quite similar to Nordic socialism, which is successful. But
it was like a hybrid.
When you look,
that's what Nordic socialism.
Exactly.
The United States is actually a hybrid because we have a very big social system. However,
which your elected leaders
when you look at countries like Russia, which are total socialists,
no,
they can't. Well, they failed. That's why
Russia is an oligarchy, but
right. So they failed because they didn't have a hybrid system.
Right.
Now you look at Sweden. You look at Sweden, which is also a hybrid system.
China. What's wrong with China's system? In 70 years, China went from an agrarian nation to a superpower. In 70 years, man. What's wrong with their system?
Their communist dictatorship. That's what's wrong with their system.
So, Rashawn.
Economically, though, what's wrong with China? Ignore the authoritarian part, but economically, what's China doing wrong?
Well, I mean, the government drives the economy, so.
Well, yes, I know. I'm not defending what China does to like their citizens, or the way they run their country.
But that's my point. You're making a trade-off. You know, yeah, your government's making a shit ton of money, but your people are suffering. Well, how great is that?
Well, we're doing the same thing. Our people are suffering too. We're making a shit ton of money.
I mean, unfortunately, people suffer all over the world, and you know, it's
right. My only point here is
I think we're suffering less.
Right. My only point here is that
not percentage-wise.
if you want to argue on pure economics and power, then actually China, it's working. They're beating us in almost everything.
Well,
at this point. So you can't tell me communism doesn't work.
And that's been going on for a long time too.
And then say China's kicking our ass.
When I say something doesn't work, I'm talking about for the people, and our government is, you know, our system is for the people.
I mean, China works for the people.
Not for the people.
I mean, listen, we take away the civil liberties aside, because obviously it's a dictatorship or a communist, whatever you want to call it there. We got to take away the economic side for a moment, you know, and then look at the civil liberties, because here we claim that we have freedom, yet I can't go out without a birth certificate because I'm afraid I'm going to get detained, right? That's not freedom. So let's talk about what China's doing economically. What China's doing economically works for the people of China. By what they have done, they took people that were poverty-stricken in farmlands and built them houses and put them in high-rises and gave them jobs where their families can now eat and they're no longer poverty-stricken. That is helping the people, right? So let's separate what they're doing civil liberties wise, because yes, they don't allow freedom. But again, I would argue that the United States no longer gives freedom to its populace as well, especially if you're not white. And so that is going to be an argument going forward. And of course, anyone can laugh at that, but if you don't experience it, you don't care. And that's the problem.
I care, and I'm sorry you feel that way.
I think the problem I see though is via all that stuff you saying. I've always been experiencing that. Like,
I know you have. I know.
So, like, why is it that now the country's crumbling? Is it because they're doing it to other people besides us?
It's been crumbling for a
while. I think when I say crumbling, I'm talking about the intersect of an economy that's falling off a cliff, even though when you look at it from a statistical point of view, you can say, oh no, look at the chart, it's growing. But what I'm saying, there's an intersect where the economy is starting to crumble and the people no longer feel like they have the freedom. So there's an intersection there, right? If the economy is going straight upward, people are willing to give up civil liberties if they can eat without a problem. People are willing to give that up, but when they can't eat.
You guys are preaching you guys are preaching this to people who are watching the amount of millionaires grow year by year by year by year. You can't. You're never.
And that's capitalism.
I mean, you're never gonna win. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're never gonna win that battle. You're telling me, it's not gonna last. The government's crumbling, but every year I see more millionaires than last year. That doesn't
because
make
it
sense
works
to me
because it works for the very rich, right? Only 6% of the population in the United States makes $100,000 or more.
There are kids that are making millions of dollars because they have TikTok accounts that go crazy.
I don't care if there's 5,000 of them. There are. I don't care what they do. The point here is that it only works for, and I'm not even talking about millionaires, but if I talk about just the people that make six figures or more, there's 5 to 6% of the population. Everyone else is essentially suffering. So when the economy does not work for 94% of the population, that's why I say it's crumbling, regardless of whether there's more millionaires and billionaires.
when has it not been like that? When has there been a time in the United States where the 1% had way more than everybody else?
Well, you look back. I'll tell you. So if you look back in World War II, when the tax rate was 80% for the richest people in the United States, you had roughly about 10 to 15 times, a CEO made 10 to 15 times what the average worker used to make. Now it's 300 times. So the inequality has risen, Chalo. So you could say that, there's always been some sort of disparity between the rich and the poor, but the difference now is that the difference is so maximized that people can't even fathom ever being successful. That's the problem. Before, in the 50s and the 60s, obviously take the race equation out of it, but in the 50s and 60s, most people felt like they could actually do something with their life to succeed. Now, that is, polls-wise, it actually shows. Polls-wise, if you look at Gallup poll, for the first time ever in the history of the United States, more people say that their children will be poorer than they will. That is the first time that poll has ever happened in the history of the United States.
But you got to think about this.
But Charlo, I want
hold on.
Okay,
I'm
go
talking to V for a second. You got to think about this though, V. When you're talking to World War II, do you had 3 or 4 people that had more money than the entire United States? The entire country, your Rockefellers, your Rothschilds. I mean, all of those dudes were still alive back then, and they're at Vanderbilt. So what are you talking about?
I don't know how that disproves my point.
Yeah, because you said I asked you for a
because
time
there was
when
very
there wasn't.
few.
That doesn't disprove my point.
Yes, it is, because there's not that many people with more money than the United States right now. The entire United States. Those people have more money than the entire United States.
Let me explain my point again. All right. It is not the fact of whether you can have 1, 2, 5, or 10 or 100 people that are just massively rich. That is not the point that I'm making. What the point that I'm making is that the income inequality, meaning that the average person does not just make 10 times less, they make 300 times less than the average CEO. What that means is we're not saying that every rich person is evil, although some people may say that. But the point here is that when you have the disparity has increased so much, that's when you have an economic breakdown. One of the factors of a third world country is income inequality. If you look at countries like Cuba or the Philippines or Dominican Republic or countries where people have been tracking their economy for the past 30 years, one of the things they say, or a lot of African nations, is that when the income inequality increases, civil unrest increases, and that actually destroys the entire brand of the country. And that's what we've been seeing. Now, of course, Trump didn't start the problem with income inequality, but the problem is it is being exacerbated by the recent tax laws that were just passed, right? By giving more tax cuts to the rich, more and more tax cuts, by taking away services like SNAP and Medicaid from the poor. That gap is now increasing even more than it ever was before. And it was already bad 20 years ago.
You can't lie. No SNAP benefits were removed.
Yes, they
No,
were.
they were
Medicaid was
$1
removed.
trillion of SNAP funding was removed. $1 trillion.
No.
Yes. I mean, this is a fact. Should I post a link here so Chala can put it up on screen?
You let me speak. You don't control the conversation. Let me make my point before you keep interrupting. Right? How was $1 trillion removed? It was removed because the extra people that were added because of COVID were now not allowed on it. We said
literally not facts at all.
Pre-COVID. Stop talking. I didn't interrupt you. They let extra people on because of COVID. Nobody is really understanding that the cuts aren't true cuts. The extra subsidies are going away. The extra income levels are going away.
Okay, but are people losing food?
Cut. No.
Yeah.
So when you say you're going to get $500 a month if you make 60,000.
I'm not interested in the weeds of where the money came from, comes from, etc. Are people losing food? Are people that receive these benefits
Absolutely not.
now receiving
Absolutely
less of
not.
them and have
They're
less
not getting.
food? Yes, they are.
No, they're not. How are they
Uh,
losing food? They're getting
re-
less free food. They're getting less free food, but they are
okay,
not
but if
getting
they
less
can't
food,
afford food and they're
right?
getting less free food, are they getting less food?
They can afford food.
No.
They can't. That's the
point.
problem.
No, this is the problem, Mark, is that there are people that are having benefits cut, regardless of where the cuts come from, that are saying, we need food. And the government is saying, okay, well, you're going to get less of the food that we give you. And they're saying, okay, but I can't get it anywhere else. And the government's saying, and they have less food.
Those same people,
that's not
people,
money, that's food.
Look. I go to Worcester, right? I go to the public housing. There are far more BMWs and G-Wagons and Corvettes and all of that there than there are anywhere else in the city, right?
That's funny. I work in one of the poorer communities in Massachusetts in human services, and I go to public housing, and they're fucking broke and they need food.
How many?
There you go.
My mother works for the city of Newton Housing, and she has told me about. Yeah, she does. Her name's Christine Long. She's city councilor for Framingham, and she works for the city of Newton Housing. She's their procurement officer. So yes, of course she does. And she has told me that there are people that live in those housings that drive BMWs. He's not lying. She's disgusted by what she sees over there.
I do the work and have not witnessed this.
What?
I do the work and I have not witnessed.
My mother does the work too. She's at the buildings every day. Being a procurement officer, she has to do all the construction. So she goes to all the houses literally every day.
So when I was head of security for Worcester homeless shelters, right? 99% of the homeless people who get food stamps, and they get a significant amount of money, even though all their food is provided, spent their money on candy, snacks, soda, and what they didn't need for that, they sold.
So are you saying poor people shouldn't eat candy or soda? Poor people need to suffer and eat dirt?
The point is...
No. You made a point that they're drinking soda and eating candy. Are you saying poor people do not deserve to have tasty food? That poor people should never have any of this food at all?
You're the only one allowed an opinion. Shut your lips. Let me speak for a second.
I let you talk, but when you talk nonsense, I am going to tell you that you're talking nonsense.
You interrupted me. You didn't even let me speak.
I let you speak all that nonsense about the SNAP benefits.
Okay, keep going. Keep going. I'll let you just speak your bullshit. Go ahead.
I mean, I literally, all I did was ask you a question. My question was...
You refuse to let somebody finish a thought because you think you're better than other people.
I let everyone else here finish, Mark. You can take your insecurities later. You can talk about your insecurities later, Mark. This has nothing to do about you.
Okay, keep interrupting.
All I said was that you made it a point to say that people that are homeless or that are on SNAP can't have candy or soda. So I said, do you think that people that are poor can't afford soda or candy?
You interrupted me and didn't let me finish a thought. Shut up. Let people finish their statements.
Finish your thought, Mark. Land that plane.
Now, they spend it on that and they sell parts of it. Now, this is the point of the whole thing. Yes, they lose money for food. But if they're spending $700 a month on a car payment, that should be where they get their food money from. They should downgrade their car. I drive a piece of junk car because that's what I can afford and buy my food without government assistance. They can't say, I'm losing $500 a month in food and have a $900 a car payment or whatever. They have to be an adult and manage their money like everybody else. Even though I'm not on assistance, I have to manage my money. They've got to manage their money. They
All right,
can't have a Mercedes.
We're having a decades-old conversation about what the deserving poor are, and I promise you, this has been rhetoric that has been around welfare for an extremely long time. Of does that person really need it? Does that person really need it? Does that person really need it? The bottom line is that when you cut this much money from SNAP, there are people that suffer because they have
How
less
long is
food.
the one trade?
You can't debate that fact. You can't debate that fact that there are people that because of this have less food.
It's 10 years. The 1 trillion cut is over 10 years.
Yes, and
It's not
already.
1 year. It's over 10 years. So it's $100
already
billion.
hitting people. It's already hitting people.
Yes, because they have their Mercedes payment they got to make, and they can't afford food.
All right,
sell the car and buy food.
All right, this is the most ridiculous thing. I have to answer this. All right,
you're welcome to your poor people with Mercedes conspiracy. I don't want to debate that. I'm much more concerned. I'm much more concerned about disabled people that don't have a Mercedes and also don't have enough food.
We can also just look by statistics. Statistically, we know that SNAP is actually one of the least fraudulent plans out there. It's way less than 1%. You know where we actually wasted money? Those PPP loans. Tom Brady got a fucking PPP loan. I mean, all of these people got PPP loans for their businesses. The whole point was hey, we'll give you this money if you don't fire anybody. And these were millionaires and billionaires who didn't hire anyone else, ate up all those PPP loans. But we don't look at them because the people that were benefiting from them were millionaires and billionaires. But we can look at the poor person and say, oh my God, you took a soda. How dare you take my tax dollars from me because you took a goddamn soda. But Tom Brady and anyone else that makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year got millions of dollars free from tax dollars, but we don't say shit because they're rich. This is the problem that we have in this country. And Mark is the exact example of the problem that people of what MAGA think, that all poor people, they're only poor not because of something that has happened in life, but because they're defrauding the United States government.
No.
That is what he thinks. And I'm not just using you. Mark, I let you talk down. Now you're done. The point here now is that we have to stop thinking this way. Poor people are not our enemy. If you want to know who the enemy is, it's the people that are robbing you blind. And you know who's robbing you blind? It's not the single mother. It is the billionaires and it's the millionaires that are keep paying the lobbyists to say, hey, give me another tax cut. Let me deduct this jet from my tax cut. I don't want to pay, I don't want to pay for this investment. This is the problem.
And it's because of those guys that we're treating the globe like a wrist board and using Venezuela like a fucking slot machine right now. We're not going to Venezuela for oil due to snap cuts. It is because these power brokers just see the entire thing for sale and see globes and countries with millions of people as a resource.
So, Jim, straight question.
Yes.
Answer me this.
Okay.
If you bought a jet, do you get the same tax break that the billionaire gets?
I have no fucking clue, Mark. I can't afford a jet.
I'll tell you what.
I wish I could afford a jet.
Mark, can I say something real quick, brother? So you got to think billionaires. So Elon Musk, let's take him for example, right? He bought Twitter, correct? But he bought it Okay, but he bought it using his stocks. He said, "Hey, look, I got these stocks, and I'm gonna use these to leverage my to buy Twitter." But he doesn't have to pay taxes on those stocks. You know what I mean? But he can still use those stocks as money to buy and purchase something.
So can you?
No, I can't. I can't let. What I'm saying is, listen.
You don't have stocks. You don't have stocks.
I have a 401k and all that, yeah. But what I'm saying is,
I have stocks.
But what
I
I'm
can
saying
borrow
is,
money against them and not pay taxes on them, just like you. That's
right.
what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying, when you have
He
like
has more, he has more. But
right. But when you
everybody says it's a rich person's tax rate.
It is.
And
Listen,
it's not.
Dude,
They just get more benefits than me.
He has 400, but he's got like $500 billion, dude. You can't pay taxes on that shit? Like, seriously, man.
You think he doesn't pay taxes on that?
He doesn't. We know he doesn't. We have the records to show it.
That's a lie.
No,
he pays tax.
No, he does not pay taxes on the stocks that he owns. It's literally the law allows him not to. Yes, we are. We are literally talking about his stocks.
No, you just said he doesn't pay taxes.
I was talking about his stocks, though, and that he used his Tesla stocks to buy Twitter. So if you can buy something using your stocks, you should be taxed on it. That's my point. You know what I mean? If you can go use your stocks,
no, that's not the case. So you can have.
He took out a loan on this. He took out a loan against his stocks,
exactly,
and bought Twitter,
just like you and me can do. It's not a special.
I can't buy Twitter.
Yeah, I can't.
No, you can't buy Twitter, but you can take a loan.
He's just saying in general.
It's cool. It's cool that you believe you got the same right as Elon Musk, Mark.
I could maybe do that and buy I could do that maybe by a used Pinto. He got Twitter.
I guess this is my point.
But
in the let me make just one point. In the past 10 years, of the data that we have available, there was only 1 year that we have on record that Elon Musk actually paid federal taxes and didn't get a refund, meaning that he paid more money to the federal government than he got back. Every other year in the past decade, the federal government gave him money back. That is, the richest man in America is not paying taxes. And we're not just talking about stocks now. We're talking about overall. All right? 2019 was the only time in the past decade that he actually paid taxes to the federal government.
$11 billion in 2021.
No, in 2021, he actually got paid back because he got $23.5 billion.
What is your source? She says different. What is your source?
My source is literally Google.
Put it in the chat.
What?
He paid $455 million between 2014 and 2018.
You have to look at you have to look at the money he paid more. So when the federal government pays you more money than you pay them, what happens?
He paid these taxes. The government didn't pay him. He paid $11 billion in 2021. Over $11 billion. Because he cashed in stock options.
2015, he actually got paid back negative 29%. The effective tax rate was negative 29%. 2016, 0. 2017, negative 30%. 2018, 0%. 2019, the only year he actually paid billions of dollars that year in 2019. In 2020, we still don't have all the data. There is some dispute with the IRS. In 2021, his effective tax rate was negative 47%. 2022, 0%. 2023, still unconfirmed. Still looking at data. There's some issue with the IRS. So that's all the data that we have for Musk. And with the data we have, only 2019 did he actually... Mark, I already said this. It's not hard. Pick up a computer, type in the words, and look at it.
And she Googles and you get totally different data. How is that possible?
Because I just explained... Use your ears, Mark. I just explained it. Use your ears. I just explained it. She is not looking at the money that the federal government has refunded Elon Musk.
You quoting?